Handoff, Adrian up the middle, room to the 20, cuts to the left to the 25, and Adrian's loose! He splits the defense! 50, 40, 30, goodbye, baby! Touchdown!
We bleed purple, and our bones are gold. Hear the horns coming out of our dome, behold. We are Minnesota Vikings fans. We love when a player scores.
Hey there, football fans. Welcome to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle West. Adam Carlson is out there on the other side of the microphone. How's it going,
I'm
Adam?
here.
I was going to say
Things are going pretty
telephone.
good.
I was going to say telephone line, but I guess we're not really using telephone lines anymore.
No. Technology is moving way too fast for us.
For us old people, though, this will always be a telephone.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I'd like to welcome everyone to episode 58 of the Purple People podcast. This one is entitled On Golden Ponder.
Oh, I see what you did there.
A nice throwback there. I know a lot of our fans probably aren't big classic movie fans, but it's worth a go.
Yeah.
And
So
the first thing we're going to give a go is a question from social media with Kyle West.
We are. I was going to say that this week's show was fun because absolutely nothing happened in the life of the Minnesota Vikings. So we've got some fun topics that we want to talk about, and this is the perfect time to just kind of throw them out there.
All killer, no filler.
You betcha. We're going to start, though, with the social media question, and this one I defer once again to our Facebook group. Earlier in the week, I asked you guys who would be the first player, either offense or defense, that's going to score a touchdown for the Vikings in 2013. And we're going to go with, I wanted to narrow it down to regular season touchdown because that's more fun. Preseason, who gives crap about preseason? We're going to go with regular one. So
Practice.
Practice? That was a little bit of Jim Mora in there, by the way. I don't know, do you want to answer this one first, and then we'll go into the reader feedback, or what?
I actually answered this question on a different page, and I said that I think it will be a 12-yard Adrian Peterson touchdown run.
Adrian Peterson is the obvious choice for this one, and probably the correct choice for who will score the first touchdown of the season. We had a lot of people that answered Adrian. I'm going to say, just to be different, maybe it'll be Toby Gerhart down there on the goal line where they need 3 yards, and Toby is the master of the 3-yard run. So maybe it'll be him that'll throw it out.
How's that saying go? If you need 2 yards, he'll get you 3. If you need 4 yards, he'll get you 3.
Yeah, that is how the saying goes with Toby Gerhart. He's no Adrian Peterson. That's what we're getting at, folks. I'm a big supporter of Gerhart, by the way. We're just clowning around here. Let me get to some really cool responses that we had on Facebook. A lot of people saying Adrian from 10 yards out, 40 yards out, different variations on that one. One of my favorite came from Matt, who said he's got a bold prediction: Ponder to Greg Childs for a 43-yard bomb on our second drive of the game. That is very bold that you went there, Matt, because we want Greg Childs to make it, but we're not quite sure, like we said previously, if he'll be practice squad or injured reserve or what's going to happen. But I would love nothing more than for him to score a 43-yard bomb, and I'm sure he would too.
Oh, that would excite everyone.
Yeah. We got a lot of people saying Kyle Rudolph, which is another really solid answer for that one. A lot of people going, it's going to be Adrian, and then once they get into the end zone, Kyle Rudolph. So we got some.
What's funny is when I read a lot of the responses, a lot of them were, Greg Jennings, Kyle Rudolph. You saw these guys. Very rarely did you see someone say Christian Ponder.
Yeah.
When he's the guy throwing the football.
Well, I think that's kind of a gimme. My friend Josh actually did say that Ponder throws a 40-yard strike into double coverage for a TD that shuts up the critics. And I would hope if he's going to throw it 40 that he's not going into double coverage there, Josh.
Right.
But maybe one of our younger or newer players on the team will allow him to do that occasionally. But I hope he's smarter than throwing into double. I like and we'll end this up here with our Xavier Rhodes pick six that was intended for Megatron. I like that. I like
Nice.
the fact that it could be a defensive player. We got a few of those. A few. I think one or two people saying that it was going to be Xavier with the pick six. So
One that kind of bothered me was I saw one that said Adrian Peterson 90-yard touchdown run, which means that the Vikings field position, they started at the 10.
the 10-yard line. So
That doesn't make me feel good.
either someone ran the wrong direction or they tried to take it out and it was really bad taking it out of the end zone. Or Ponder was sacked big time.
Oh no.
He's going back, he's pumping, and then the ball falls out. And John Sullivan's got to fall on top of it or whatever.
That one just struck me as odd, but hey, anything can happen, right?
I like the concept of him running 90 yards though. That'd be fun to watch.
Oh, that'd be a good start to the season.
Yeah, and him high stepping it into the end zone. Yeah.
Well, now we're going to get into our controversial section of the podcast. We're going to talk about the players on offense and defense who we think are most underrated and overrated.
Mm-hmm.
We will start by naming our underrated and then move on to the overrated. Kyle West, who is your most underrated player on offense?
I am going to go with a wide receiver on the team named Jarius Wright. He is my underrated player on the team. That no one is talking about Jarius Wright right now. Everyone's going Greg Jennings and Cordell Patterson are the two big names people are talking about, which rightfully so. I understand.
They're the new shiny acquisitions.
Yeah, and Jarius Wright is just kind of he's flying under the radar right now, and I think he's going to be quietly awesome for the Minnesota Vikings in 2013.
Definitely. Now me, I kind of took the easy way out on this one. I'm sorry, guys. I took the captain of the offensive line, a guy that's guaranteed to touch the football on every play. John Sullivan was an All-Pro last year. The former 6th-round draft pick out of Notre Dame. He's currently healing from microfracture surgery. And the Vikings need him to heal up, but if he is not healed up, and they have to replace John Sullivan on this offensive line, we are going to see a Vikings team that is much different from last year on the offensive line. John Sullivan, very important, essential, sometimes overlooked.
I thought you were going to go with Christian Ponder on that one. I really did, just from what we were talking and before we started recording. But I'm glad that you mentioned John Sullivan. He's that center is a very important position on the team, and yeah, if they have to replace him temporarily, you'll notice it. I mean, you would like to think that they'll bring in someone who can fill in, but you would notice a drop off in production for sure.
Well, they can move Fusco over, they can put Berger there, but neither one of them are really John Sullivan.
There's a reason why Sully got the contract that he did.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move on to our underrated defense. So what do you have there, Kyle?
I'm going to go with Audie Cole. And the talk of all the linebacker talk that's going on the team, Desmond Bishop this and whatever, Audie Cole, I don't feel like he's getting mentioned enough. And yes, he was drafted as a raw prospect that has to spend a couple years in the system, but he's very talented. Okay, he's one of those guys where you just want to get him on the field, and you don't quite know where that spot on the field is precisely, but you want to get him out there. And I think he's going to start to fill in that spot on the team in 2013. I think he's going to get his foot down, and this is going to be the spot that he's going to play, the role that he's going to fill for the Vikings. And yeah, that's what I hope for Audie coming into this year for us.
Well, to me, I think Audie Cole is one of the reasons why Bishop was brought in,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of serve as a stopgap there while the other players develop and grow and learn positions.
Bit of a mentor.
And remember that the team can't stash Audie Cole away on the practice team this year.
Mm-hmm.
They either have to sign him to the 53 or they have to release him.
No way that happens. I mean, he goes on the 53.
So he will be on the
Yeah.
53. But I just wanted to remind everybody of that that's the situation. Right now, the young guy, a lot of talent. If he doesn't make the 53 somehow, he's gone.
Oh, that would be a rant. If that happened, we'd spend a whole 60 minutes just ranting about them cutting Audie Cole. But Rick Spielman is too smart for that, and he's too talented of a player for that to happen.
My underrated defensive player. We can't forget about the guy that was benched in favor of Mistral Raymond in 2012. Jamarcus Sanford came back with a fury and took over that starting job after an injury.
Mm-hmm.
He's an excellent special teams player. He's developing in the position. He's a former 7th-round draft pick back in 2009. He's looking to become something really special in the league.
Professional trash talker as well. Just really good at getting up in players' faces and talking crap to them. And, but yeah, no, you're in terms of underrated players on the team, and he's a guy that I know I've mentioned this on a previous show, but I wasn't a huge fan of his in prior years. But he's starting to grow on me, especially after what he did last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing, was that kind of his one-year wonder, or is he actually going to continue to not only do what he did last year, but grow into a larger role on the team and take on more responsibility?
Right, I hope it wasn't a fluke, and I think we will see him come out with that same fire and fury.
I hope so, too.
But now let's move on to the part that we will get more hate mail about. I'm disappointed, actually, I didn't get any hate mail last week from my talk about Greg Jennings. But this week, maybe I'll get a little more hate mail. We'll have to see.
Okay.
My most overrated player on the Vikings offense is Matt Castle.
I knew
Many
you were going to
Vikings
do
fans
that.
think that Matt Castle is there to take over for Ponder if he struggles this year, but let's be honest with ourselves. He's just a veteran backup. He's there to help the young guy learn. His stats in KC were not impressive. He turned the ball over far too often. He got too big of a contract that the Vikings jumped in way too early because they were terrified after what happened in the wild card game of the playoffs last year. Matt Castle, mistake.
I agree and I don't agree, because I ultimately think it was the right move for the Vikings to pick him up and bring him in and get him on the roster. I'm not a fan of the contract, like I've said previously, but I do like him being on the team. I agree with you that he's overrated in the aspect that I shouldn't say a lot, there's a small minority of very vocal fans who seem to think that Ponder needs to be benched in favor of Matt Castle. I don't agree with that at all.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so who do you have as your most overrated offensive player?
Yeah, here's my hate mail. He wears number 14, and his name is Webb. Joe Webb is just overrated as can be. He is a good guy by all accounts. You watch the videos of him, and he's always rallying players on the sidelines, and I just don't know what he does for the team. I mean, he can't play quarterback. We know this now, clearly. Can he do wide receiver? I don't know, maybe, but whatever. Like, I like Joe Webb, but I don't even care. Like, I'm ready for him to be not a Minnesota Viking anymore, because so many people are like, Joe Webb can play quarterback and he can do like what Kurt Hennig used to do in those old videos for the WWF. Like, he can throw the ball and then he can run down the field and he can catch it one-handed for a touchdown at the same time. And then he's going to go out on the field and he's going to kick an extra point, and then we're going to stick him in on defense and he's going to sack Aaron Rodgers and run it in for 6 points, because that's how talented Joe Webb is.
Yeah, I remember people saying, oh, Joe Webb, they should try him at corner, they should try him at safety,
Yeah.
they should try him in all these places. Now, Joe Webb is a very athletic player.
Mm-hmm.
He's got great size, great speed. The question is, can he develop as a wide receiver now? Because you have to almost erase everything that he's done and think that he is starting over from ground zero as a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, everything that Joe Webb has done in the past, I'd like to forget, I hope to forget.
I try to forget sometimes. I'm looking at you, playoff game.
Oh, that hurt myself so much. But you're right, Joe Webb is an overrated player.
Yeah.
Now, here's one that I think Mr. Kyle West might not like. My overrated defensive player, it was a tough decision because part of me wanted to say Chris Cook, but I really think that he's developing into his own player and he's shown me flashes of things. Meanwhile, I think LaTroy Guion is struggling to find his place on the line. He's
Okay.
being overshadowed by Fred Evans, and most assume that when Guion was tired, Evans would rotate in, but now we're seeing Everson Griffin and Sharif Floyd being talked about using in that position. The future isn't looking up for the former 5th-round pick out of Florida.
Mm-hmm. The controversy that I am going to pull up here in a minute is just going to overshadow that one, Adam. So are you ready for this?
I am.
Vikings fans, he's in the last year of his contract. You know where I'm going, Adam?
I do.
Jared Allen. Most overrated player on our defense. Now, let's back up a minute. I love Jared Allen.
Right.
He is fantastic, what he's done for the Vikings. He's one of my favorite players on the roster. He's also at the tail end of his career. He's going to give it his all this season for the Vikings, and then I think they are going to move on from him. He'll go be a Seattle Seahawk, probably. And, guys, that will be okay. Even though he's going to go on and he'll play for another probably 3 or 4 seasons and continue to produce, we have other younger players who will be able to fill in the role that Jared Allen currently occupies for the Minnesota Vikings. I think there will be a little bit of a drop-off initially because, hey, Jared Allen, you always got to double-team him when he's out there on defense. Even though he might be losing half a step, you still got to give the veteran the nod. With that said, honestly, after this year, I don't think the drop-off will be as big as what people expect. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Because if you guys remember, earlier I posted an article that I wrote for the Viking Age up about how all the members of the defensive ends on the team, we've got Brian Robinson, we've got Everson Griffin, we've got Jared Allen. All 3 are fighting for contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we got the draft coming up, and this Vikings team, as much as I hate to say it, they will not hesitate to cut a player at the tail end of their career and bring in a young guy, especially if they can get a really great prospect.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a definite possibility that they do decide to move on from Jared Allen after this year.
Would I have loved to seen Antoine Winfield retire a Viking? Of course.
Oh yeah.
Do I want to see Jared Allen retire a Minnesota Viking?
It'd be great.
Yeah, I would love to see that happen. Rick Spielman just did a video that was posted over on Vikings.com where he talks about the draft is our bloodline. That is where we get players. That is where we get better. And you've seen his MO on how he handled Winfield, and I foresee that coming for Jared Allen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to bring back one of my favorite old segments, which is the rants.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for one of my rants because I've been building this one up for a while. I am sick of hearing about how this is a make or break year for Christian Ponder. The guy's played for, a season and a half, and fans are already ready to throw in a towel on him? They should be embarrassed of themselves. Now, Monday, which is today, I had one particular thing that really rubbed me the wrong way. Now, you've all probably seen the pictures of Colin Kaepernick wearing the Miami Dolphins hat and everybody getting all up on him about that. Well, K-Fans Dan Burrito, I don't know how to pronounce his name,
Dan Barrero.
but he tweeted, if C. Ponder wore another team's ball cap, Vikes fans would be livid when they discovered that he wasn't actually traded to that team. My response to that, seriously, come on. You're the media for the state that the team is in. You're supposed to support your team. I understand if you feel like he needs to improve some aspects of his game, but to make an insulting generalization like that really just grinds my gears. Now, the biggest knock on Ponder is something that he hasn't really had an opportunity to showcase yet, and that is throwing the deep ball. If you listened to the show last year, you'll notice that one of my biggest pet peeves with this offense was that the Vikings were calling really dumb plays to try to stretch the field. I mean, streak routes with Michael Jenkins.
Devin
No.
Aroma should do.
Yeah, injured Jerome Simpson, trying to have him noticeably limping out there. We finally got a little bit of a taste for what he could do when we had the young speedster Jarius Wright out there.
Mm-hmm.
But this year should be much, much better. Because now we got a healthy Jerome Simpson, the new additions of Greg Jennings, Cordero Patterson. This offense will be able to do a lot more. But I guess what I'm saying is this. Be patient. I know it's the day of fantasy football, and people think that quarterbacks aren't any good unless they throw for over 4,000 yards. But then again, they don't have Adrian Peterson in the backfield. In one season, Christian Ponder raised his quarterback rating by 14 points, and he looks to be poised to improve it even more this year. Now, I've been wrong in the past, but there's something I really like about Ponder. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm really willing to give the guy the benefit of the doubt and see where his arm can take this team in the future.
Very well put. I had to clap when you said that other teams don't have Adrian Peterson on the roster in terms of his numbers. Now, the make or break stuff I get to an extent because there were times last year where Ponder has just barely over 100 yards passing, and you can't have that at a professional level. Like Adrian,
But you also got to look and see.
Well,
okay, those are the games where Adrian Peterson was having massive games. The games where Peterson struggled, which I guess for us struggling is saying Adrian Peterson had 80-some yards, which is awesome for some running backs.
Yeah, he struggled.
Ponder would step up, and he would take control of the game.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. But we don't want to kill Adrian Peterson before his career is over with. So you do want Ponder to be able to step up and ease some of the burden off the shoulders from Adrian Peterson.
And I'm so glad the team finally went out and got him some help.
But at the end of the day, and this is the question that I would ask all Vikings fans, is when it comes down to the fourth quarter, and this is not a knock on Ponder, but you need a touchdown to win the game, who on the roster do you want to have the football? I want Adrian Peterson to have the football. Not Christian Ponder. I want Adrian.
I agree with you right now.
I want Adrian to be the one, fourth quarter, to be out there rallying the team. I don't, you hear so much about how Tony Romo was learning to become a better vocal leader on the team. Well,
right.
Good for Tony Romo and good for Christian Ponder, but this is Adrian Peterson's team. He's the face of our franchise, and Ponder can be as vocal as he needs to be, but fourth quarter, I gotta believe that's Adrian in the huddle, getting the team going and telling them this is what's gonna happen, because he is.
I actually wrote on a Vikings message board about they were complaining about Christian Ponder, and I said, this is Adrian Peterson's team. If Tom Brady was the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, this would be Adrian Peterson's team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it really, back there, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter who it is, because it does matter. But you got to remember, they will not be the focus.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you all enjoyed that little rant, because now we can go into something a little happier.
Hey,
Vikings birthdays.
I'm glad that you brought back the rant segment, because that's I've been missing. We're in the off season, and I've been missing doing some of our regular season talk that we do, and it's nice to get that back out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, when I get fired up, I have no problem writing up something like that.
Oh, I am so ready for the regular season to get here. You have no idea.
But let's talk happy birthdays now. We got Aaron Henderson, who turned 27 last Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 Vikings birthdays on Wednesday, Jerome Felton and McLeod Bethel Thompson.
McLeod. Fox McLeod.
On Friday, Lamarck Brown turned 24, and also turning 24 on Saturday was Matt Khalil.
Mm-hmm.
So happy birthday to all those Vikings.
Lots of
For them all to have
birthdays
happy
this
and
week.
prosperous seasons as Vikings and all that happy jazz. Now into the quick hits, which is another fun segment. I think so anyway. Adrian Peterson was in a new commercial for the ESPY Awards. If you haven't seen it, go to our Facebook page and check it out. Some people think it's really funny. Kyle West does.
Adrian Peterson and Matt Khalil. I thought it was strange the way out of all the players on the team, Khalil was the guy that was opposite of him. He must have been available at the time, but
Right.
man, I love this commercial. If you guys, I am going to rip it and put it at the end of this podcast. So after the credits, you're going to see a commercial with Adrian Peterson and Matt Khalil where Adrian wears Wolverine sideburns, and it's just the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, just stay tuned.
Just stick around. Yeah, it'll be at the end
No,
of the show.
that's only for our YouTube listeners, our iTunes people. That won't be there.
You can Google it probably. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cowboys defensive coordinator Monty Kiffin and defensive line coach Rod Marinelli didn't think that Sharif Floyd was, and I quote, quick twitch enough to excel in their 4-3 defense. Cowboy scouts had Floyd rated among their top 10 prospects. The team also has only an aging Jay Ratliff and a converted 3-4 end in Jason Hatcher as the starting tackle. But when it came time to pick at number 18 overall, Jerry Jones traded out of the spot. Floyd ended up going 23rd to Minnesota, and many experts think that this will put a large chip on Sharif Floyd's shoulder.
I don't know if Sharif is the kind of player that really needs a chip on his shoulder to go out there and play well. Everything I've heard in interviews from him, he sounds pretty self-motivated enough as is.
Right.
And that's part of the Spielman philosophy when we get players on this team. That's all of our guys basically are self-motivated. But you gotta believe, as a professional, anytime you hear someone else saying that they don't think you're good enough, in the back of his mind, I'm sure that quote is going to stick with him, and he'll use it as extra motivation probably to get out there and play well. And who are the Dallas Cowboys to be knocking our players? I mean, come on, man.
Now, one thing you have to remember too is I know this is a Vikings podcast, but I got to bring this guy up.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers was expected to go really early in the draft. He ended up sitting, and that is one of the main reasons why he is so fueled and focused. He still wants to prove those teams wrong that passed on him.
Yeah.
And I really do think that this situation might be similar for Floyd.
I can see that.
Now, my last quick hit.
I could see that for all 3 of our first-round players. You know that?
It's true.
Yeah.
Last quick hit is about one of those players, Cordero Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be called CP, but in an interview with Willie McGinnis, it was revealed that Patterson preferred a different nickname. He wants fans to call him Flash instead.
Flash. I like that. Flash Peterson.
Well, for now, he's Cordero Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
He catches some touchdowns, makes some nice runs on special teams. I'll call him Flash, but for now, he's Cordero Patterson.
84. I kind of like calling him 84 just because that's burned in my mind from Randy Moss. But and I hope he can earn that 84 as well too. But
Absolutely.
some people were really up in the air, like, my God, he's given himself a nickname before he's done anything.
What an ego on that guy.
Okay, for one thing, he was asked in the interview, like flat out asked, like nickname, like what's your nickname? Like apparently, according to who'd you say interviewed him?
Willie McGinnis.
Willie McGinnis. Apparently, like none of the players call themselves by their real names in the locker room.
No.
Like, they all like this is the setup to like him giving out the nickname Flash is that no one gets called by their real name. They all have nicknames in the locker room. What are you gonna go by? And his answer was Flash. And some people were like, oh, pissed off and up in the air over that. I don't. Who cares? Like, don't you? This is my rant. Apparently, like, don't you have anything better to do than worry about what Cordell Patterson wants to be called? Like, he wants to be called Flash. You can call him that. You can not call him that. It doesn't really matter.
I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have for this week. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
I encourage everyone to not talk about Troy Williamson ever again when bringing up Cordell Patterson, because we're trying to think happy, good thoughts for 84, and don't bring up Troy. Just don't. I don't want to think of those wide open drops. And
well, on that note, I would like to thank everyone for listening. Remind them to check us out on Facebook, on Twitter. If you're listening to us on YouTube right now, stay tuned for that nice little SB commercial. Otherwise, have a good day, a good week, and stay classy, Minnesota.
You can shoot him, stab him, set him on fire. Wolverine takes a beating and keeps coming back.
And when I win the SB for best comeback, they gonna call me Wolverine.
Putting the cart before the horse, aren't you?
Wolverine doesn't ride horses. He rides motorcycles.
Watch the ESPYs on July 17th and see the Wolverine in theaters July 26th.
Jackman.
Dude.
I added more sideburns. It's perfect.
You've got to stop calling me.
We bleed purple and our bones are gold. Hear the horns coming out of our dome, behold. We are Minnesota Vikings fans. We love when a player scores, we roar, ignite the stands. We bleed purple and our bones are gold. We're the kings of the north, our slogan skull. No Packer, no bear, no lion can beat us. We will punish anyone if they try to defeat us. He's the MVP, appreciated greatly. Running all day, 2K, that's AP. Make a defense cry or maybe beg. ACL stands for Adrian's crazy leg. He's the heart of the team. 28 holding up that Lombardi is a part of the dream. We will never give up. We find the faith to move past.